In a world filled with conflict, in a universe comprised of differences, there's one thing that absolutely everything shares in common. We all exist. Including two guys named Jack and Michael, who like to chat about that very thing over a good cup of coffee. Let's pay them a visit, shall we?
Existence Brewing.
Here I stand, just waiting for Jack.
You don't have to wait much longer.
Oh,
here I am.
Hey, there he is. All of him.
Here I am.
All 5.6 gigahertz.
Is the 13th of February as we record this, so it's the day before Valentine's Day. We should probably talk about
Valentine's Day. That's right, Valentine's Day.
Share my thoughts. But it's 4 days removed from the big game, and gosh, I'm just finally starting to come down off my hangover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think the whole country had to come down off of its hangover. You know,
the whole country needs to come down off its hangover on that game anyway.
Yeah.
I would love to see it pull like a 2 share just out of the blue one year so that all the people that have billions of dollars riding on it go, what the hell? They all came to their senses at once? We can't have this.
They woke up. Yeah. No, I think this was the first year I ever noticed that there was like ad campaigns even referring to the day after the Super Bowl.
Yes. One that was quite repulsive to me featured some blonde, skinny, she looked really trashy to me. Some kind of Carl's Jr. hangover burger.
That's right.
We're trying to hawk. Yeah, that's great. Because nothing spells relief after intoxicating the miracle of your like human vessel with alcohol, like a giant, disgusting hamburger from a fast food joint, right? Nothing could be better for get your system back in track, back in line.
Well, what do they say about greasy food and hangovers? Supposedly that is supposed to be I hate to say the cure to a hangover because I don't think anything can cure yourself from poison, but no, greasy food is supposed to help your hangover.
Well, that's just it. Why are most hangover cures even more disgusting than the alcohol that you over imbibed in to get into a sickened state in the first place? Like, why is that a thing? Is that to try to make what you did look like less stupefying? That's got to be what it is, right? The raw egg with Tabasco sauce and all that.
Well, or what it is it's drunk people coming up with these concoctions, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's a new hangover remedy.
And it's not even an actual thought out remedy. It's just a mistake. It's like I woke up blurry-eyed and completely without, or at least without half of my faculties. So I accidentally cracked a couple of raw eggs and threw some Tabasco sauce and some cloves in a blender, and I wound up drinking it. And the next thing you know, I was feeling better about 14 hours later. So it must be a cure. So anyway, this is right in line with something I wanted to lead with today. There's a commercial that's running. It's a national commercial, so it's not one of our local spots. Now, this is a national spot. First of all, there's no corporate shilling allowed on this podcast, so we're not concerned about losing these people as a potential sponsor, since I'm repulsed by their tactics for trying to sell their active liver tablets, is what they're called, active liver tablets. So have a listen to this, and then we'll talk about it.
Let's play it.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy.
So how about this? I want to take him home to mother guy. What a winner this guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to stave off alcoholism with a pill every day. I got to take my active liver. I don't always make the best. Could he sound more like Barney from The Simpsons too? I don't always make the best decisions. But just pop this pill and my doctor's happy. It's just like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me with this already. I mean, I know that Ozempic is a thing now, so you can take a pill.
Yeah.
And lose weight. Finally, we have that. I mean, it's what everybody's prayed for forever. Is I don't have to move. I can still eat ding dongs to my heart's content. All I do is pop a pill, and suddenly I look like Jack LaLanne II. And so now we have active liver trying to tell us they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
By making sure that we don't die of, acute liver poisoning, but we can certainly go out and drink 17 Michelob Ultras whenever we want to. Just pop this pill and your liver's like fully safe. This is it's disgusting to me. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. And like, where is the sanity of the Western world when we start getting into I can take a pill to, like I said, stave off alcoholism, which this guy clearly is. I mean, how about another round and some more chips? It's just like, could that be any
I have a feeling there might be like a lawsuit involved in that because, you can't advertise a product that thwarts off the potential harm that alcohol causes your body, or, you know what I mean?
Well, it's never fully stated, of course. They're very careful with it because their lawyers are all over it too. And so, this gets run through the eardrums of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yes.
That's the law firm.
Yes. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yeah, so they're probably hovering over it saying, okay, you can't say this, but you can say that, and you can't say this. But it's fully implied that basically you are just another stooge who watches sports and drinks to excess while doing it and pays a rightful penalty physiologically after each encounter with this gross misdemeanor of judgment in all capacities here on planet Earth. And, now we're going to give you a way to be okay. You're not going to suffer the harmful ramifications of your actions because you have active liver supplements to. There's always the Elon Musk shuttle to the dark side of the moon.
But speaking of Elon Musk, did you happen to catch the Oval Office DOGE press conference that they held inside the Oval Office this week?
I did. I'm not sure that I saw. I didn't see that, but through the glass of the newsroom today on the television inside the studio, I was noticing some captions that they were putting up underneath the president. Did I arrive in another dimension or a parallel universe that's well removed from the ones that I'm in or have been close to for the last 9 or 10 years? I was seeing captions like, President says no need to spend $1 trillion on military anymore, wants to talk about not having as many nukes, not making any more nukes. I'm like, the penny I can see him wanting to get rid of because it's not nearly as high a cash denomination to make an impression at any of his casinos, but no more nukes from this guy? What is happening here? Am I missing something? So it's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on, but I would have to say if it's legitimate, which of course I don't believe a word that I hear from anything on the TV, let alone and especially from the government side of things, but couldn't make me happier if we ratcheted down. I was just talking about it. How about figuring out a way to put out a few wildfires or employing a few more people and not buying or building as many fucking bombs? And of all the people that, at least according to the captions that I saw, like I said, on the news channel, wants to do it, it's Mr. Trump. Well, okay. I mean, if that's the vessel that has to be used to get us there or start on that path, there have been odder packages, I suppose, or less likely packages. So
no, this wasn't that spicy. This was the press conference that Elon held with his son and Donald Trump. Donald Trump, let's remember, was sitting at the Oval Office desk. Elon was standing next to Donald Trump, and then there was this little child in front of him. And
that's a scary thought.
And the first thing I thought of was, can Elon not afford a babysitter?
Yeah, no. He doesn't want to spend money on that. So.
I mean, it's really nice that he wanted to, maybe kind of, parade him around like a dog and pony. But then the president asked Elon to explain to the American people what it is that DOGE was really trying to accomplish in its government efficiency initiatives. And I thought to myself, wow, so it's bring your kid to work day, one. At one point, the little boy is like standing next or behind Elon, and he's like copying, mimicking his dad's like gestures. And I was like, okay, is that mini-me now? I mean, it was, the optics were really hilarious.
We'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, if you say, what is the goal of DOGE and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we would have to, if you it's all right. So, I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
Who brings their kid to work on that day if they're the ones who is supposed to be unveiling like some of these really important initiatives that DOGE is going to be undertaking? Does nobody, I guess what I'm saying is does nobody from the communications room at the White House go, hey, guys, this isn't going to look good?
Well, maybe he thinks that it softens the effect of a lot of people seeing him as a draconian master overlord from some reptilian world not too far removed from ours.
You've got somebody who is in charge of our country. They announced that they're going to overhaul federal agencies under the idea that we need to save money. Because I think you and I can both agree that our country is broke.
Well, and
it's been broke for a long time. And I think that we've gotten to this complacency to where government doesn't really have to be accountable for anything. And they just kind of print money. And they just, if they need some, they print more. And I think there's starting to become this kind of soul-searching idea of, we need to have a little bit more of a understanding of what it is that our government does for its people. But then I think you also kind of get into this category of the guy who goes down to the pancake house on Tuesdays and has coffee with his buddies and says, you know what? I know how to balance a checkbook. I'm going to create a new checkbook. And I'm going to tell you how the sausage is made. And I kind of feel like you then start to get these people in place who have a lot of power, i.e. Donald Trump, who really don't know how the sausage is made. They don't really care how the sausage is made, but they like the idea of being in power.
Sure.
And to me, that's where dictators are made.
Well, I'm not going to use the D word, but I will say this. If you take a look at this man's heritage and the history of anybody who's like him, and that's the thing, I'm not like honing in and targeting him like so many people have. I feel like it's a waste of time in so many ways. But I just feel like the part of this that we need to wake up to is not partisan. It has nothing to do with what color jersey you wear on election day. It has to do with the growing up of, of yourself and getting out of this rive that you've learned from day one. And the reason why football is such a great target. And again, remember, I'm as nostalgic as crazy. I mean, I'll still watch 1977 game highlights just for something in the background once in a while, because it reminds me of my childhood. So it's not like I don't have a love of that at one point, at least myself, but it's time to resign from things, from dispositions, from mindsets, from archetypes that don't work anymore. They're outdated and they're not progressive. They're regressive, if anything. And this is one of them. You have to start seeing things for what they really are. And the issue, again, is pretty plain as day. The life's blood of this man, and most of the one next to him, I don't know a lot about Elon's upbringing, but we've certainly all had the history of Donald Trump bandied in front of our face with one documentary after another and one book. And, so I feel like I'm a little bit more learned on that subject, but you could really write the same story for any of these plutocrats that are running things on a global scale, not just here at home, on a global scale, because that game that we're playing is applicable to the whole world. And they're in charge of it because they have all of the zeros after their name in these illusory bank accounts that they are in charge of and that they sit over. The vector of the entire life of this person is about one thing. It's about obtaining wealth, material, financial wealth. That's the name of the game. That's the end game. And while there may be a legitimate desire to balance the U.S.'s checkbook and to make the U.S. rich again. I know that's the next big push, it seems like, has come out. Make no mistake, a profiteer does one thing and one thing only at the end of the day. They make money for number one, period. And so can Elon Musk buy a seat at the table? Of course he can. How much? And I'm going to say this, how much money do you think was exchanged for that little, hey, I don't have anything better to do. I'm the richest guy on earth. I'm bored out of my fucking mind. And apparently a lot of people think I'm brilliant because I've invented, these cars and now I'm going to space and all these things. And you can tell the man is truly just bored. So what else is there? Well, Donald, you're running for president. You're probably going to win. If you do, let me rummage through whatever I want in the coffers of the U.S. government. It'd be fun. I would love to do this, and I'll make it worth your while to the tune of, you telling me that didn't happen? You telling me that's not going on? Come on, man. These guys are all in cahoots because it's all about making a buck at the end of the day, and it's all going to benefit them and the buddies that line their pockets at the end of the day, and that's the sad truth of it. So you can take all your partisan politics out of it. It doesn't matter whether he's a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter what he stands for as far as immigration or any of these things concerned. Those are all asides that are designed to distract you from exactly what's been going on with every regime for at least the last 4 or 5 decades, if not longer. It's about money and power. And it's getting harder and harder. The only solace I can take is look at the lengths that because there definitely is a they, it's not a conspiracy theory. There's plenty of theys in the world. Look at the lengths they are having to go to distract us from what's actually happening right in front of our faces. And I don't know, I don't want to say it's comforting to me in some ways, but it's like, the notion that Elon Musk is the Antichrist. I think it's way more Elon than Donald. I think Donald's a pawn in the whole thing. If you had to play out a movie of the week, they're like, okay, Jack, write a script for movie of the week, and we're using Donald Trump and Elon Musk as the players, and it's basically The Omen. It's The Omen 3, the one where Damien grows up to be the president of the United States. Oh, man, I mean, my son of Satan, my Damien, is definitely Elon all day long. I mean, Donald's just a poor Shemp pawn in the whole thing. He's just like, I want to be rich. I want to be in the Oval Office. I want to be president. I want my name on this. The man, can I throw this out there too, just real quick before? Did I mention that he's selling a watch now? Did we get to that on a podcast?
No, I don't think we did.
There's another radio spot that's going around. I haven't heard it this week yet, but it's been on recently. The Donald Trump watch, and the man himself is on the commercial talking about what a great watch is, one of the finest watches they make. And so, yeah, it's probably what, like $50, and your Rolex costs how much? I mean,
well, I think we missed out on our idea of that Sharpie, the Oval Office Sharpie.
No, think of that. Just think of that. You're a little younger than me, but I have been around I was born during the Nixon administration, so I've been around and didn't remember Nixon or Ford. The first president I remember was Carter, but we'll count Nixon and Ford anyway, because just we'll up the number. So Nixon, Ford, Carter, 2 rounds of Reagan, 1 of Daddy Bush, Clinton, the other Bush, Obama, and then, we'll throw in Biden, and then we'll go to Trump too. So I've lived through 10 presidents now. Never in my wildest dreams have I ever heard of the notion, not even a little bit, that the president of the United States would be on the radio hawking me a $50 watch with his name on it or whatever it is.
I know.
This is gotten to the point where, the old saying about sublime to the ridiculous. I mean, it's gotten so outlandish that we don't even notice it anymore. It just passes over us. It's like, So just a second ago, the Prez was on the radio trying to hawk me a $50 watch like he needs that money, right? Like he needs a watch enterprise from, China or Hong Kong, wherever these things are thrown together.
The sad thing is, millions of people will line up just to buy that stupid watch.
I realize that. But we're literally approaching like, it's swag. It's not.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah. It's not rhetoric. It's not policy. It's not stance. It's not, yes, those things are there, but it's surrounded by swag. It's surrounded by like bottom feeder entrepreneurialism. It's surrounded by, hey, I set up a booth at the fair this weekend and was hawking these fucking watches, and a couple people bought them. You should see it. I make them, I get them for 75 cents a piece from the boat in Hong Kong, and they pay like $50 because it's got the image of me on them, and who wouldn't want that? And I'm sure he probably says in there they're made in the USA, garbage, bullshit. I don't believe it, whatever. If they are thrown together somewhere, it's for a fraction of what he's getting them to sell them for. And where do these proceeds go? That's the other thing I'm listening for, is all proceeds go to starving children, or whatever, because the man is filthy, stinking, wealthy, rich, and doesn't need this money. Nope, there's no indicator of that. That goes right into his pocket, it seems. So are you fucking kidding me? Our president is selling us watches on the radio.
So that kind of touches on an item that really kind of stood out to me as being so wrong about some of the things that, DOGE is going to be really focusing on in their investigation. And one of the things that Donald was saying, Elon, tell them about some of the things that you guys have been finding at DOGE. And we'll play this little clip right here.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million?
Right.
Etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it.
So, part of what I have a problem with is, where's the evidence of all of this frauds activity going on with government employees who are supposedly making millions of dollars behind the scenes off of their jobs at the government? There's no evidence of that. At least he's not saying there's any evidence of that. I mean, I'm sure there are people within our government that aren't, but I guess the problem that I have too is, how can you stand at the highest office in our country and just make these broad accusations and there's just no recourse. I mean, it's just like, that's just wrong to me.
Well, it's just, I think the problem is, again, though, that we're facing is that if you haven't looked out your window lately, I mean, we're kind of approaching, if we're not like right at the precipice of some serious shit. I mean, I'm not the biggest environmentalist, but I don't think I need to be. I think I have got my, face pointed in the right direction. And I happen to believe that there have been numerous zero energy technologies that have been developed and known about for decades, just like Dr. Greer points out, and they've been black shelved, and the people that have developed them have been threatened and told, nope, not happening, no way, no how, because of the petro-Nazi factor. And we're playing a dangerous game. And I really believe that this elite group of people, the thought process is, because look what they're playing around with. They're playing around with rockets that are going greater distances than ever before. So in my mind, and who knows what kind of toys that they have tucked away too. That's the other thing. I mean, if we're really talking about, as the fellow who used to run the skunk works for Lockheed Martin said on his deathbed, reportedly, if you've seen it on Star Trek, we have it. I mean, if those technologies are at the ready for this elite group, and why wouldn't they be? Because if any group was going to have them, they would be the closest to getting them, because they have the most wealth and power to spread around in order to sugar the pot so that they do get them. I mean, I'm looking at a scenario where, again, if you want to go back to that, hey, Jack, write us a script for the movie of the week. Well, here it is. Elon and Donnie and all of their richest buddies are, rowdy. All their rowdy richest buddies are coming over tonight, and they are all going to jettison this rock. They are going to suck it dry of every natural resource that there is. They're going to figure out a way to make us use it all so that we're dependent on it, because we most certainly are still. I mean, yes, solar and wind and electric's making a tiny inroad, but it's not going to replace the world's infrastructure. I mean, this whole globe runs on oil, man. It all runs on oil, and right down to the chemicals that make up the plastic compositions and 9/10 of the shit that we use to do everything with. Our cars are made of it. Yeah. This computer's made of it. Everything's made of it. So we're dependent on it. So we're suddenly dependent on a product that only they have the golden keys to access, and it's running out rapidly, and it's destroying the biosphere. And so the thought is not, trust me, folks, from these people, is not, oh, we got to make this right. We got to suddenly figure out a way to reverse these climate impacts that are occurring so that our people are healthier, and so our biosphere isn't as risk, and our literal home isn't going to collapse upon us all, and we're all going to die. And then we got to figure out a way to make things more accessible and cheaper so that people can live healthier, happier lives. That's not the goal. As I said, the vector is always going to be on profiteering. The vector is going to be on, well, what's in it for me? And money and power is at the end of that all the time. So we're going to build ourselves a rocket. Gentlemen, this planet is fucked, and everybody on it is beneath us. So what do we need to do? We're going to build a rocket, and we're going to get the hell out of here once we have it sucked dry. And we're going to go to Mars, the next rock over, and we're going to terraform that sucker, and then we're going to do the same thing there. But we'll be the only ones that live there, us and our elite group and the elite children and the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders that will tag along with us to be our harem of wives that we can reproduce with on this new utopia. I mean, that's what's happening. I don't think it's fiction, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's exactly what we're watching, the attempt to be perpetrated. Now, will it happen? Well, if you happen to believe, in anything that the Bible might say, it's a foregone conclusion. The dark has already lost. It's just a game that we all have to play out. It's just something we all have to play our part in. And yes, some of us are going to die, and some of us are probably going to die horribly and miserably, but it's just all part of the show, and it leads to the same end, which is the darkness is already lost. So why they're even trying? Because they have their role to play too, I guess. But
yeah, and I think it's just important that we all keep our eye on not falling for the bullshit,
Well, and get out of these pitfalls, these histrionic traps that we get into, these emotional, oubliettes that we fall into, where we're just trapped. And because that's the whole point. Because they figured out a long time ago that emotional trigger in you, be it anger or fear, of course, is the big one, but fear, which predicates anger and all kinds of negative responses, if they can get to that, then they're onto something. Then they've got you by, the balls if you possess them. If you don't, they've got you by something else. I don't know. But they get you by whatever the snark, as the coneheads would say, the snarklies. They've got us by the snarklies, and they ain't letting go once they're there. And so many people are there. It's just a world that's filled with division, and more than anything, with a lack of decorum, with a lack of a desire to get to a peaceful solution. It's just, nope, you're dead, motherfucker. I'll get my way. I mean, it's just like, that's where we're at, this Wild West stuff. And it's really unnerving because we are the only thing that's going to truly stem the tide on this. Unless, of course, Mother Earth decides to unleash a super volcano or a giant asteroid, and then we're going to look like the fools we are for having played this game all along. But I'm not sure that we're due for that just yet. I don't, as I've said, in previous podcasts, I don't personally believe that we're going to go out in a blaze of glory. I think, much like that great line that I talk about in that low-budget movie, Highway to Hell, that I like so much, where the guy's playing Satan and says, no, human beings will be around for a very, very long time. And, he's alluding to our slow and plodding and difficult and treacherous demise as individuals and as a species. And that's not good. And it can be averted, but what are we going to do about it? Because I might remind you, too, that this whole thing with, the government's broke and the government's in debt, just like Father Bill taught us, Mr. Hicks, and just like I've known since I was a little boy and first found out about money, I'm like, this is bullshit. This doesn't even exist. The carrot that comes out of the ground that I can eat and nourishes me and takes me through at least part of a day, that's real. Money? That's not real. We're literally fighting over nothing. It's not even real. And money is only worth the paper or metal that it's printed or minted with. That's it. It's the only value that it has in actual tangibility. The nude bomb, remember, drop the nude bomb. If you take away absolutely everything that's a human construct, what are you left with? Well, the carrot's still here, isn't it? But that money and the whole notion of what it might get you is gone. So just think about that.
The nude bomb. I love that. I love it when you said that. That was good. That was a good episode. I don't even remember what episode that was, but...
Oh, it goes a ways back. It's a movie, too, actually. I think the movie was called The Nude Bomb, actually. There's another movie that came out at the similar juncture, early 80s, late 70s, was called So Fine, because the nude bomb was about a bomb that they dropped and it would make people's clothes disappear. Like it evaporated their clothes, but they were left untouched. And I want to say that was more along the lines of something super campy like The Gods Must Be Crazy or Kentucky Fried Movie. It was really camp. The movie So Fine is about a pair of jeans that people's asses completely stick out of, as I recall. And it has a couple of kind of semi-famous players in it. I don't recall who, but it's on my watch list on Amazon. It has been for years, but I don't want to pay to watch it. So, hey, what's the guy? Hey, Jeff, make it free already, would you please? So I can watch that freaking movie. Come on, please.
Make it free.
And again, still soaking in The Sopranos, because I missed it 25 years ago when it was new. So, still getting to that. That show troubles me because I feel like people really took to Tony a little too graciously. And the man is a killer. He's a cold-blooded, calculating, manipulating collusion. He's a murderer of the worst order. He's a thug that lives in a nice house in the Jersey suburbs. I have absolutely no love for his character whatsoever, and I can see the separation. But I'm worried, like shows like that we glorify these mobsters, and that's not good. Yes, they're interesting and colorful, but let's remember they are killers, cold-blooded killers.
Yeah.
So Anyway.
Just to show you how unscripted this podcast is, and we very rarely will break. I don't know. How would you say? Would it be we break character, or a lot of times we don't even acknowledge that we're making a podcast, right?
No,
we just kind of
feel like stuff's running.
We just kind of pretend like we're sitting here in a cafe called Existence Brewing, which we are. And this is Existence Brewing. But I wanted
Michael's been under the weather, can you tell?
Yeah, too much cough medicine this week, kids. Don't overprescribe. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is that we've actually had like an all-time, in the last 30 days, like country lists that has popped up that I thought was kind of interesting in terms of like how many different countries we've been reached in.
Yeah, so I'll let you go, but I just have to preface, I know where you're going, so I just have to say this. So Michael's the official tracker of like all things.
Yeah,
like,
that's my title.
He looks at like how many people download the episodes. Yeah, you're the analytics guy.
Yeah.
Jack could care less. Jack never looks at any of this. It's not that I couldn't care less. That makes it sound like I don't care at all if you're listening, and I do. And I appreciate it. But I'm just saying I'm not into the metrics at all. I just, my directive, and there truly is one, and it's almost just like, well, does this guy think he is Moses? Like, yes, I do, actually, and you can watch me part my scoop here at 7 o'clock tonight when I eat it. So.
He does, too.
I just feel my directive is to, I also don't, like, listen to the podcasts a lot. I will a little bit, but I don't. Like you go through and you'll do editing and you'll do our shorts. And I mean, so this man does all the work. I pretty much just show up and say whatever I feel like I'm directed to say. And that's it. I mean, I just feel like that's kind of what I'm supposed to do. And I probably should do more. But anyway, this list of countries that are listening to
and cities, I guess, because it shows it by country. And then I would just like to, I think we need to start a segment. And that's why I'm saying it shows you how unscripted this whole podcast is. I'd like to start some kind of a little thing where we just kind of give a shout out to some of the cities that are listening to us.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think that would be cool because we've got listeners all over the world now. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's the power of the intraweb. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. And so I want to shout out to our friends in Ashburn, Virginia.
Ashburn, Virginia. I have not been to Ashburn, Virginia. I have been to the very extreme western portions of Virginia. When I drove the Cumberland Gap, I through there.
Okay, I want to shout out to our friends in Nagoya, Japan.
Oh, Nagoya! Yeah, I have a good trading partner. We trade CDs. He's in Osaka, Japan. So, okay, cool.
We've got a listener,
land of the rising sun
in Nagoya. And
by the way, what is the land of the setting sun?
I'm not
sure.
If
Japan is the land of the rising sun, then what is? Because it's the far east. So what's the far west? The furthest west would be like the land of the setting sun should be like Port Angeles, Washington, or like
Aberdeen. Aberdeen, yeah.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain's that'll do. So okay, all right, good, cool.
Our buddies in Paris, France.
Oh, Paris, of course. Hello.
And I want to say hello to our friends in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, down under.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, I just thought that was something to mark. I mean, we've been doing this for almost a year now, and we're getting close to a year, aren't we?
I think we've got the first EPs came out. What was it? May of 24.
Mm-hmm. So we're coming up on a year.
Yeah, we've got about 10 months logged. 11.
Mm-hmm.
No. 12 months is a year. Last time I checked, Jack, you're wrong. I've got about 9. We got about 9 months in the tank, I think.
Okay. So we're coming up on a year now. And in terms of downloads, we're already going to be over 200 by the time this episode airs. And, it's a small group that is a core group from what I can see from the analytics. We can't see your names. But I think we've always tried to foster some form of community in this podcast. Some form of understanding of different viewpoints. We aren't doing this to try and convert people into what Michael Elliott believes or what Jack believes. We really look at this as a way to kind of inspire thought, right?
Yeah, I would think independent thought and then like-minded thought. And I also feel like this. I will tell you this. I mean, this has got to be about the 50th one of these we've laid down, something like that. We were getting close to 50. Maybe we're over it now. But at the outset of this exercise, I will tell you, dead set against ever saying the words Donald Trump on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want anything to do, and I really want to eschew myself from most things that are being we're barraged with in the mainstream. But I think one of the things that it has taught me is that even though I don't want to drone away and give more time to it, it is important because it's indicative. It can be used as a really powerful tool for what is really going on. And I really feel like that's the voice that's being the least served right now. Yes, I believe we have a lot of zealotous factions on both this left and right that we talk about all the time. But I feel like the rest of us who are kind, intelligent, good-hearted, decent human beings, not to say there's not those on the left and right either. I'm just saying, but we're not we're not steeped up in the hysteria. We lack the hype button that seems to fall so loudly on one side of that scale or the other. And that demographic, quite frankly, is not being served. And it has nothing to do with making money. It has nothing to do with pitching products to you or anything like that. It has to do with there's no voice of just pure, what I dare I say, reason. There's no pure voice, I don't feel like, that's being heard. People are polarizing either out of necessity or they're polarizing out of pressure, out of just, maybe it's just like by default. They're just saying, well, if we're going to start a podcast, it has to be on one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that's the right way to be anymore. I think that we're being called upon by something that's far greater than us, that we are an inextricable part of. If you know Jack's philosophy about the universe and how it binds together, then I think we're really getting a loud, peal right now. There is definitely a knell in the air that's saying, hey, it is time for you guys down here, you little humans with these souls that are doing this experience thing, to wake the fuck up and get off of some of these crutches that you're leaning on, because you're leaning on a lot of crutches. And really, it's not that difficult. George Burns, whoever wrote the movie Oh God, and I think it came out in 1978 or something, only like one of the only times John Denver ever put on his acting chops. First movie he ever started. He did great in it. Terry Garr's in it. Whoever wrote that movie, I can't reference that movie enough as far as just how masterfully and how beautifully they put the idea of us being here for each other between the lines of this theology that we all get lost in. I mean, and remember, they made that movie at a time when Christianity and Western religion was massive. It was way bigger than it is now in the United States. And so to have the balls to make that movie back then and put it in front of people and say, hey, why don't we deflate this religious, huffing that we've got going on all over the place, this blowing up in front of each other and getting this righteousness, and just realize that we have each other. And one of the messages in that movie is that God, if you believe whatever it is, even if we got here by accident, we have everything that we need to make it, and to make it well, to make it comfortably. And the first thing that we have is we're not by ourselves. There's 8 billion of us here,
mm-hmm.
and we're all brothers and sisters. So anyway, I always think of that movie as an inspiration for the message that I feel like I should echo on a similar level, is that, that's kind of where the nude bomb take comes from. It's just, we have each other. There is a way to turn this around. If there was a unified front and every person on earth that was hungry right now could be given food, I mean, ask anybody, would you give them some food? I would hope the answer would be yes. I mean, all of the problems that we've created for ourselves, the planet, and each other could go away instantly if we just put our mind to that and not to what we've been trained to put our mind toward, which is the aspiration should be, I want to live more comfortably than the other guy. I want to be, I certainly don't want them to starve. I don't want them to be, fall ill and have boils all over their skin. I don't want that, but I definitely want to be more comfortable with them. I want to win. You're not winning anything because you're not taking any of that shit with you. And there is more beyond this. And you're also talking to Mr. Karma in me, because I believe in the transference of energy based on intent. And if your intent throughout this experience has not been too sterling, you're going to probably owe some bills the next time you find yourself being whatever it is down the line. So, I just feel like we've gotten less wise as time has gotten along. And if we would just take if we would remove some of the necessary fellowship that we have with religion or with philosophy, and we would take out choosing a side and just look at what our ancestors left us with to think about and to ponder about being here, we could find ourselves in a much better place, because they were the forerunners of the experiment that's running right now. And it's running off the rails right now. It's out of control. Bring anybody here from ancient Rome, bring anybody here that was an original part of that Hebrew group that, was talking to God and said, hey, we should write these things down. It's kind of interesting. I've been talking to the guy too, Bring any of those people forward to right now, they'd lose their minds. They'd just say, you people are absolutely, yes, fine. You have all these great toys and there's all these wondrous miracles that we didn't have. You people are off the rails. You're out of control, and you've completely lost touch with what it really means to be here and to ponder that. And you need to get it back. And it's right in front of you.
It's beautiful. Well, I did want to just kind of end that idea with kind of some housekeeping items that we've maybe been kind of kicking around, and just, we'll do some shout outs to our friends around the world. And if you guys want to shout out to us, you can always reach us via email, contact@existencebrewing.com. So
yeah, we'd love to hear from people. We always like that. I want to give shout outs to cities that don't listen to us as well, because I feel like that's important, and it might rope in some people from around the globe. So I'll pick 3 random ones off the top of my head.
Okay, I'll give you one. How about Napoleon, Ohio?
Napoleon, I know about Napoleon, Ohio. How about we go through? Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 3 world cities, and then we'll do 5 from Ohio. Stryker, Ohio. Hello, we need listeners there. Wilberforce, Ohio. We need listeners in Wilberforce, Ohio. I'm centering on the southwestern part of the state because I love Ohio. It's great. Let's think. Well, we can't forget Zanesville. Let's go Zanesville, Ohio, Sandusky, Ohio, and then we'll finish it off with my favorite place. I stayed the night there and went back through there. So I stayed the night there in 1999 with my brother on a cross-country trip, and then found myself in a position to go back again. Oh, it was 2018. So it was almost 20 years later. Xenia, Ohio. So there's your 5 Ohio towns right there. And by the way, the reason why I love Ohio so much is because I've always said that if like a Yakov Smirnoff type approached me at Existence Brewing, it was just like, oh, I am here off boat and wanting to know where to go to really experience America. Where can I really soak? I'd be like, drive through Ohio. Ohio is quintessential Americana. I mean, it seems to me like it doesn't matter whether it's an election year or not. all of the homes always have that red, white, and blue bunting draped over the railings. And you know me, I'm not into patriotism at all. I've left those. I've abandoned a lot of those notions because to me, they're not universal enough. But if you really want to experience like just that quintessential Americana at its finest, those Norman Rockwell days, maybe mixed all the way back in with just post-Civil War, things are going to get better days, that kind of thing. Drive across Ohio sometime, and I would hope you would share my sentiments and feel the same thing. So my world cities, I'm going to go with Cayenne in French Guiana. So we have to say hello to French Guiana. You mentioned Paris. So we have France checked off, but not French Guiana. We need it. So I'm looking for listeners in Cayenne to join us at some point.
They probably don't even have internet there.
Everybody has internet, right? Like most countries have some internet, don't they?
I don't know.
I know there are probably places. I know there's places that aren't connected yet. Well, then we need a traveler with some kind of a, it's French Guiana. It can't be that.
Some poor dudes are going to have to go get in a boat, take a ferry, and then download an episode, and then head back home 30 miles to where he doesn't have internet. No.
My honorable mentions in South America, by the way, were Montevideo, Uruguay, and then Stanley, which is the Falkland Islands, which belongs to Argentina, of course. But anyway, we don't have to play this game. I appreciate, anybody who listens anywhere, anytime too, because, I would do it just because we would do it. And I get something out of just, doing it, I guess. Anyway, but always nice when somebody's on the other end, and the exchange of ideas and thoughts is important. That's what it's all about, after all. So.
Absolutely. Speaking of the exchange of ideas, before you got here, that guy who sits in the front up there by the window that's always kind of like has the journal, and he's always kind of just writing things and
little black book guy.
Okay, so before you got here, I went out of my way because I was like, okay, this is a guy we both have known, like acknowledged that he's there. I want to find out what's going on with the journal. So I kind of, just started doing the striking up small talk. You know what he does?
What?
He writes down ideas for bumper stickers.
Oh, really? So he's a bumper sticker.
He's like a bumper sticker idea guy. And I was like, funny you should say that, because I just found myself today looking, waiting at a stoplight. And I always love looking around at all the cars, not to like see what make or model they are, because I could care less what make or model they are. I always just like to see how people express themselves with their cars. I for whatever reason, I've always found that interesting. And the window stickers and just the things that people decide to put on their vehicles, I always find is interesting. The amount of bumper stickers that some people decide to put on their vehicles, I think is interesting. And have you ever noticed it's either somebody puts one sticker on their window or their bumper, quote unquote, or they put 30. I mean, it's never like
there's no in between.
There's no in between. It's usually like minimalistic or bonkers. I saw one today that I thought was hilarious, and so I wanted to, get your take on this.
Okay. I'll always give you my take.
Have you ever seen a bumper sticker that you found just oddly funny?
It's rare. I have to say, George Carlin did a bit on bumper stickers in his routines years ago, and he referred to the bumper stickers that he may have placed on his car as his handy rear bumper mobile library service. And these were basically lots of banneret proclamations that were being made. And then, of course, he had several that he had written. You could tell, like, I found him. I have Jesus in the trunk. And
that's a good one. I've never heard that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't find too many bumper stickers all that compelling. I also feel like most of the things that people have on bumper stickers on their vehicle, most of them say things that I don't want to read anyway. It's generally a lot of propaganda in this day and age. It seems like, it's that guy with this thing with weapons, and I'm obviously this peace-loving, starseed from somewhere else. And so the whole weapon thing, I just don't get that. So this whole like glazing your back window of your jacked up truck with all these assault rifle stickers and this grenade stuff. It's just like, what the fuck is this? What is this guy thinking about? Like, this is just bizarre to me. So I don't identify with it at all. But so it seems like a lot of it I see is like that. So no, I can't rightfully say, I guess, that I have ever, or that I have seen recently anything that's really stuck with me. It's funny. I did see a bumper sticker just yesterday driving home. And I want to say it said something like, the other thing is my vision's not the best. And so I have to get very close to see a bumper sticker unless it's, so I have a hard time reading some of them, but I'm pretty sure this one said something like, if you're behind me and I just passed you on the right, you're an idiot. Or something like that. So it's just like, okay. And one of these things. So, yeah. And then of course we've all seen the ones where if you can read this, you're following too close, you're an asshole, back off, and all this. A lot of them they seem to me like they're kind of antagonistic in this day and age, but I'm sure there's some good ones too.
Well, I gave that guy an idea. I said, wow, you write bumper stickers? And he's like, yeah, I send them off. And I said, there's like publishers? And he's like, yeah, I send them off to this company and they do it. Like they do mock-ups. And I was like, do you get like royalties for these? And he goes, yeah, that's how I just sit here all day and buy coffees. So that's what he's chosen to do with his time. And it's like,
he never looked that
really
interesting to me.
Yeah, no, he's a very interesting man. So, So then I gave him an idea and let me just run this by you to see if you think that this is a good idea for a bumper sticker. Okay. Condition unknown.
Okay. Like you mean the cars or just in general, just condition unknown?
Might be the driver.
Oh, okay. So it's up for, I see. So this is a highly
unknown.
Condition unknown. Okay. It sounds like it could be like a really bad, like PAX TV, like medical drama, or like a Quiet Riot album. Well, they have one called Condition Critical, so why not Condition Unknown? So
see,
okay,
it's a thought starter.
Yeah, I suppose so. So you're really angling toward I'm not sure what that means, and so you're thinking about it for a while.
Yeah,
bumper sticker, right?
Yeah, like the guy behind you's going, whoa.
Or is he?
Well, I don't know.
As he muddies through the first three letters of condition. Come on, oh hell with it. He needs to put an AK-47 on his stickers, like me on my window. Yeah,
it kind of sounds like it could be like a punk rock band. Condition unknown.
Yeah, there you go. It could be that, or another zombie apocalypse movie, Condition Unknown.
He pretended to write it down, and I said, hey, just take it, do with it what you will. Condition
he'll
unknown.
Use it. He's going to make a fortune.
But he pretended to write it down, and so, yeah, we need to go and...
Well, he probably gets pitched ideas all day from people that know him and know what he does. That's got to be just... What he needs is his Forrest Gump moment.
Right.
Because there were enough portions in that movie, where he's jogging along and you just stepped in a big pile of dog shit. It happens, so he needs that moment for his bumper sticker thing, and then the smiley face, and I almost felt like at that point Robert Zemeckis was like, oh my god, come on, just pouring it on a little thick, right? So this man has already the list of things here, and then now he's inventing all of these whatchamacallits and gizmos. And I love the one thing I do love, the lesson I love about that movie is just the how it snubs its nose at wealth, although he becomes, essentially so wealthy at the same time. But, it's that we've talked about this before. A man only needs so much money and, the rest is just for showing off. And so I love how his dismissiveness about those things are, because it's like the shit happens bumper sticker or t-shirt or wherever it became. And you'll just say, yeah, apparently that guy made a lot of money off that deal. And that was it. Whereas most people are just like, hey, so I got I hired 7 lawyers to go after this son of a bitch because it was my idea and he knows it. It happened to me. It didn't happen to him. And he's just the guy that ran with it. And so, it's that thing. It's like the band that sued Led Zeppelin 50 years after Stairway. It's just like, let it go. Don't you just kind of feel like there's only so many chords to put in a certain order anyway? Do you really believe that Led Zeppelin sat around? First of all, no one ever heard of you before. And to me, there is beauty in obscurity. I will say that. You just talked about this small group we have. I relish these times, quite frankly, because if and when our endeavor ever goes, to a level where there's just tons of people and stuff, yeah, great. It's what everybody dreams about. I'm not sure I'll be as personally happy deep down, because to me, there is beauty in obscurity. There is magic in that creature, that rare bird or butterfly deep in the fucking jungle that no one ever wants to go quite that deep to find. And yet it's there. And does it mean that it doesn't exist because no one's ever seen it? Hell no. It's right there in all of its glory, just for the little local group of animals that get to see it and itself to appreciate. So anyway, I did love the dismissive nature of that whole, hey, they made a lot of money on the deal. And because it is exactly antithetical to what we would be trained to do. It's like the guys who sued over Stairway, or even worse. I'm sorry here. I know I may be treading on, like really tender toes for some people, but the guy who sued Nirvana, or Nirvana, if you prefer, which some do, as I always say on radio, for the cover of Nevermind, the naked baby, for causing him like trauma of a sexual nature. It's a baby. Come on. It's just like, this is such an outlandish claim that the image of your little dingus in a swimming pool. The worst thing about that cover, you're swimming after a fucking dollar bill. That's the worst thing about it. I just sued him for that. I don't care that I'm naked. There's no shame in being naked. Especially when you're a baby, you're supposed to be naked, especially if you're in the water in a pool.
Well,
but you're swimming after money as a baby. That's what I would have sued him for, is portraying me as some kind of a fucking Shylock at age 0 when I'm swimming around in the pool.
My first question would be, how did they know that you were the baby?
Well, apparently they give photo credit, like, baby on cover Arnold Zemeckis or whatever it is, or, Roger Filippelli. And then Roger Filippelli decides.
So they would give him credit.
Well, and look at how long it's been, too. Don't you think if you'd really suffered trauma from your naked image as a baby being disseminated throughout the world on an album cover, that it would have struck you long before now? Might check the guy's recent gambling debts or his credit card statements, is what it sounds like to me. It's just like, yeah, I've been sitting on this baby scam for a while now. It's time to run it because Papa needs some cash.
At my high school, you would have been very popular with the ladies if you were the baby on the Nirvana album cover, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And now we go back to Aberdeen, Washington again, too. So,
yeah, that's true.
I have had an opportunity to file a lawsuit several times in my life. Absolutely would have been a no-holds-barred winner. I was wronged. There was evidence of it. I'm not saying that I'm like a perfect person as usual. I'm just trying to throw it out there and say, I let it go. Because one of the things I felt like I was wise enough to realize was, yeah, you may get a few $1,000s out of this. You might even get more than you think, Jack. But it's going to be around you energetically for quite a while. Do you want to live with that? Is that something that you really want to tolerate in your actual living space? I'm not talking about this outside world where I want money. I need money so I can pay bills and buy this. I'm talking about the actual space in which you reside energetically? Is that seat going to be unfettered if you actually proceed with this? And I'm not a sue happy kind of person anyway, obviously, so never filed a lawsuit in my life. I mean, you're going to enrich the lawyers more than anything and back up the court system with this thing when there's probably bigger fish to fry. Just let it go. Let it go.
In my old age now, I am completely convinced that you don't need money for yourself. You need money to continue your lifestyle and your sickness and your... It's like full circle. It's like the pills that you take while you're drinking so that you can keep drinking. I mean, come on.
Active liver pills, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the liver pills. That's all it is. If you're going to sue somebody because of something like that, a frivolous lawsuit, you're just doing it because you feel like it's owed to you.
Yeah. Well, there's a great saying about people who win the lottery, too. Like, people conjecture, like, oh, gosh, am I going to be happy with $100 million? And I think the best line I've ever heard is, look, if you were happy before you had $100 million, you're likely to be happy with $100 million. If you were an unhappy piece of shit before you had $100 million, you're going to be another unhappy piece of shit with $100 million in the bank, because it's not about that. It's not about money buying happiness. It's about the notion that our disposition comes from someplace else, because money is artificial. The things that it brings to us are not. And because all of our commodities have been leveraged by somebody with more money than you have and probably ever will, well, that's the game that we're all party to right now, that we've agreed to play. So you have to have it in order to eat, keep a roof over your head, clean water. You've got to have a little bit of it. And I think there's an expectation too that you would have some amount of things. I don't think anybody wants to be completely devoid of material possessions, because they help fill up our time. If you have a drafting table with a nice art set, or you're a painter, I mean, painting supplies are expensive, and so you can pursue your heart's desires. I mean, what's wrong with that? It's when the wealth gets to an egregious level, the materialism becomes, okay, now we're literally just like Robert Zemeckis had Forrest Gump say in the movie. The rest is just for showing off. And who are you showing off to?
Man, good luck.
Yacht rock for you?
Exactly. Or I was thinking like children playing at an elementary school, and I was thinking, well, geez, Jack, if you go full loincloth, good luck picking up your kids at the elementary school.
It's the theme from the ice cream truck that they never rode, right?
Oh, I enjoy our time together. What are we listening to today?
This is Chris Christian from his self-titled album. I think it's a good title, at least, for us to remind today. Don't give up on us.
Condition Unknown.
Yeah, so when's Condition Unknown playing again, man? When you playing Existence Brewing?
At a stop sign or stoplight near you.
All right. I'm going to have some bumper sticker ideas ready for you the next time.
All right. Sounds good. Till we meet again.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, it looks like Jack and Michael have finished up their latest chat about all things existence. But if anything they said got your own existence brewing, be sure and catch their other talks at existencebrewing.com and drop them an email to share your thoughts using contact@existencebrewing.com.
Existence Brewing.